Thanks for joining us. It's kind of fun. It's like a party. There's all of us here, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we're missing one.
All right, missing one. I'm
Yeah.
talking about for me though. It's like I get to, it's multiple people. It's a little bit more fun than just interviewing one person sometimes.
Uh,
So, I mean, I was listening to you guys' music. I know a little bit about your story, and it sounds like a really you guys got a really cool story. So I'm excited to hear about it. So you guys are all siblings, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, well, tell us a little bit about how you guys got started in music. It sounds like it was kind of built into the family, but how did that start?
It was definitely built into the family. All of us were born into kind of a lineage of musicians. Um, it's been in our family for generations. And our dad, growing up, he was a choir director and songwriter. And he started quite a few community choirs. And
Yeah.
we were singing in church growing up, and just music was a part of the fabric of our lives. And so it's a part of our DNA.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's very much a part of our DNA.
So you guys are your dad's doing these choirs, you're singing in church. So was that really kind of the intro? You're singing in church mostly. Was that kind of when you first started doing it, or were you doing it at home too for fun, like playing instruments and jamming at home too?
We were doing it everywhere. Church, our dad's choirs at home, around the dinner table, just everywhere. We were always just doing music.
Wow. Even around the dinner table. So you guys are eating,
Right.
and then you guys just like break out into some harmonies, or are you guys like practicing constantly? Is that what is going on?
That's
Yeah.
literally
Our dad would just like beat on the table like with his hands and start a rhythm, and then he would start a melody and then tell our sisters to join in with that melody, sing a harmony part there, and then it would just become a full on.
That's awesome. I just it's kind of the opposite, but I don't know if you guys have seen that movie Step Brothers when they're doing that like Guns N' Roses song in the car, and the dad's like little pitchy, and they're all chiming in. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a great scene. But yeah, that sounds like an awesome way to grow up. So you guys, and how old were you guys when that started happening? When your dad's calling you out you guys look at different ages. So who's the baby?
in the group.
Yeah. Okay. So when they were singing, was there pressure, or were you looking up to your older siblings like, oh, I gotta up my game so I can get it, as good as my older brothers and sisters?
I don't know. I never really felt pressure. I just felt driven, kind of, because I was always the youngest singing, so I didn't feel pressure, but I definitely felt driven, and like it made me ambitious, I would
Sure.
say. Not pressure.
Right. Inspired.
What's funny about Momo is that both Momo and Israel, who are two of the youngest in the band, they are juggernaut songwriters.
Mm.
Like they write a high percentage of the music that we perform. And so I would say they definitely were driven, and they definitely looked up and said, oh, I want to show them what I can do.
Right.
Whether it be intentionally or subconsciously, they definitely showed us what they could do.
Sure. It's funny. I've had a couple interviews just recently where we're talking about the effects of kind of like older siblings or older brothers or older sisters or older cousins or whoever it may be, just inspiring, younger, the younger of the group, and sometimes how they can take the passion to a whole other level because they have that, that to aspire to. So you guys are having fun, obviously, and your dad, it sounds like he's kind of encouraging you, like he already knows what direction you guys are going to go. You guys are going to do music in some capacity, probably even more so than just church or a choir. So how did you guys take it from just doing it for fun or doing it at church to starting to pursue something more?
It was never really for fun. Like I think
Uh-huh.
I think maybe, yeah. So it was never really for fun. Our dad he's been an artist since we were born, since before we were born. He's never really been like, music is my hobby, music is my side thing. Music has always been his, and the arts in general have always been his thing. So when we were born, it wasn't like, oh, y'all can do music on the side if you want to. It was like, this is the thing. So we really haven't we haven't sang recreationally in years.
Well, we in high school, we did like high school choirs.
But not as a group. We haven't sang in like churches and choirs for fun. Like, I wouldn't say ever in our lives. It's always been occupation and something, a craft,
a pursuit.
Always
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There was always an end game in mind. So what were some of the steps, I guess, to better ask the question then, what were some of the steps that you first started taking to actually pursue it as a career?
Well, I don't know that we ever thought, growing up, it was never like, oh, we're going to be famous, or nobody told us that we had to do it as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
It was more our parents, our mom and dad, used it as a mode of evolution, I would say, like chasing higher versions of who we are through excellence in music.
Right.
So music was the mode of our education. Like it was never about, oh, rich, famous, be the best in the world. At some point, dreams of stardom might have crept in, probably as we became teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not what our parents tried to impart to us. They more wanted us to be excellent human beings. And music, as well as our faith, were two primary ways that they sought to accomplish that. So the end game kind of crept in a little later.
But also, I would say like the steps where we street performed for many years. Like we sang in Central Park for 10 to 12 years.
Wow.
And so there was that, and that led to us. There's a story in that, but that led to us getting signed to Roc Nation by Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
And our sister who isn't here, she released an album under that deal, and now we just released our EP under that deal, and we'll be releasing it now.
Right. Yeah, I read you guys were performing in Central Park and in the subways in New York also.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that sounds fun. So were you guys just saying we're going to do this like once a week or every other day, or how often were you guys going to Central Park and performing?
Almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah, all year round.
And I mean, I imagine you guys were already used to singing in front of people because you were in choirs and doing it in church. Was it a whole other ball game doing it in Central Park though? You know, one of the biggest hubs in the world.
Well, yeah. It's a whole other ballgame than anything else singing in New York City. I don't think there's no other city. Like if you street perform in another city, you can't go to New York and know what to expect. So you definitely can't know what to expect coming from choirs.
Right.
It's pretty interesting in the sense that, you know, you could be a world-class musician playing on stages all around the world, and then come to the streets of New York City or Central Park, and it's a different discipline almost. The art of engaging audiences and engaging people's attention while they have somewhere else to go and something else to do, that's an art form. And street performing was a mode of empowerment for us. That's how Jay-Z stumbled across us. We've met Oprah through street performing. We've met so many different people. Supreme Court Justice has been in our audience. We've had quite a spectrum of celebrities and performers, and have been approached for many different things through street performing. And so I would encourage a lot of people a lot of artists, like, if people are not calling you, don't wait on their call, go get it.
Yeah, that's
Literally,
amazing.
You can go outside and get it. So
that's amazing. So you guys are performing in Central Park and you know, a lot of foot traffic there. You know, like we said, probably one of the highest foot traffic areas in the world. So you're performing one day, and then Oprah just so happens to be taking a stroll through Central Park with somebody.
It was actually in front of the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Okay.
So we sang there quite a bit for a couple of years. I think we would sing right in front of the iconic steps.
Mm-hmm.
She was coming down the stairs and she saw us and she like acknowledged us, and yeah, it was a really cool moment.
And
it was years ago though. We were so young.
And so this is how Jay-Z, was he just cruising down the street one day and he saw you guys performing, or someone he knew, or how did that happen?
So somebody had taken a video, and our sister Victory had taken a video of Victory singing, and it was a video of Nina Simone's "Feeling Good." She was covering that, and one of Jay-Z's friends came across it and saw it, and then he sent it to Jay-Z, and immediately Jay was like, "Oh, I want to meet her." And he didn't know that the rest of the family was even present, but he saw something special that really resonated with him, and he immediately sent an email to our dad and said, "Y'all want to come to the office tomorrow?" And so immediately the next day, our dad and Victory were going to his office in Times Square at the time, and you know, we wanted to go. We really wanted to go. And our dad was like, you know, you guys should wait downstairs. It's a massive skyscraper. The offices were on the top floor. Mm-hmm. And he's like, just wait in the lobby and I'll bring you up if the opportunity presents itself.
Sure.
And they went up, had a short conversation with them and the entire team at Roc Nation. And then at one point, Jay-Z was like, I wish I could meet the whole family.
Nice.
And you want to tell it, Momo?
Sure. Yeah, he was like, I wish I could meet the whole family. They sound great. I wish I could meet them. And my dad was like, well, it's your lucky day. They're in the lobby right now. I can come up. So our dad called us up and was like, guys, come up here. It's the 40th floor, the top floor. And we were, whatever. And we were so, excited. We didn't know what to expect. And when we got off the elevator, like his entire staff was of like 70 people was in the middle of the hallway, and our sister and our dad were in the center of this crowd, and also Jay-Z was in the center of the crowd with his best friend Ty Ty, and our sister had her guitar out, and then Jay-Z was like, hey, nice to meet you guys.
We introduced ourselves.
Yeah, we introduced ourselves, and we ended up singing 2 songs for him and his staff, and then Victory sang 2 songs for him and his staff, and it was really like an emotional, unbelievable moment. And then after that, he dismissed like his staff, and we had a 2.5 hour conversation with him in his office, like overlooking the city, talking about life and talking about upbringing and talking about, you know, just who we are in essence. And that was really great. And literally 2 weeks later, we signed the deal with him.
That's such a crazy story. It's you know, it's you could definitely see that in a movie. I feel like, you know, yeah, it was a movie. It was like a movie, bro. But honestly, like, and way to put you guys on the spot too. You know, but he brought the whole staff out, huh? And they were already assembled when you got up there, huh?
Yeah. But the cool thing about that is that we were actually super prepared, because that was pretty much what we did on a daily basis.
Yeah.
For strangers, and we had our whole repertoire completely down packed and practiced. So it was like, you know, this is just what we do.
That's so true. Yeah.
And I think one cool thing about this story is that a few weeks prior, we had done America's Got Talent. And, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. We auditioned, it didn't really go the way we wanted it to. And also, the contract wasn't really cool for us. And so we got cut from the show.
Well, we got through.
We got the yeses, like from Simon and whatever, but
we didn't like the contract, so we dropped out.
Right.
We definitely dropped out, and it was like a mutual, oh, this can't work.
Mm.
And then 3 weeks later, after sticking to our guns, after betting on ourselves and believing that better would come, better definitely came. And so, you know, that whole season of our lives was very special and very memorable to us.
Yeah, it sounds like a incredible story. So yeah, I knew it was going to be good, and that's why I was excited to hear it. But did Jay-Z know about America's Got Talent, do you think, or was it because it sounded like he didn't? It sounded like he just saw this video and
No.
I did mention it to him as we were singing. I actually told him, it was like, we actually prepared because the songs that we sang for him, we have prepared and rehearsed
Right.
for America's Got Talent. And I told him, you know, we rehearsed these songs for America's Got Talent, but I think this is better.
Yeah.
And then he said coolly the word infinitely. Like he had a smirk on his face and everything. It was hilarious.
What's crazy about it is, you know, a lot of artists wait for, you know, a chance, a break. But seemingly you guys got two huge breaks very close together. You know, you got America's Got Talent, and then someone gives Jay-Z a video. But I guess that comes with, you know, they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And when you're putting yourself in front of that many people on that regular of a basis, combined with the preparation, it's going to happen one way or another, huh?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's true.
So tell us a little bit about this album. I was bumping it right before I got on with you guys, and I love the vibe. It's just so positive, and it, you know, it's happy music. You know, but I, you know, I know you guys got some. I know there's a deeper meaning to some of this. So you know, tell us about it a little bit.
Tell us about it.
I feel like Israel, you should tell them about it because you wrote a lot of it.
Did you know about what it's about?
Yeah, but I'm blinking right now.
Okay. So Mad Love, the project is just, it's very much an introduction project. It's really just about, it's the essence is about who we are. You know, we're very family centered, and we're very we're centered around each other. And I feel like that's what Mad Love is about, just the whole album. And you may not hear in our future music, you may not hear it just be so explicitly about family, but we just want to get that out of the way, have that be our pillar, and have that be our real introduction to the world, that we are about family, we are for each other.
Also, I think over the process of that album, crafting that body of work, we went through so much as a family. We learned so much. We took a lot of wins and we took some losses. And you hear that in the music. You hear that in When the Rain Starts, the song that Momo wrote. I think it's song number 7 or 8 or 6, song number 6, or Far Away. It's kind of a story about, you know, people not believing you when you tell them your dreams, and knowing internally that you are meant to win. It's really an essay on adversity and overcoming challenges through our relationships with each other and our belief in ourselves as well. So I hope it resonates with people. I hope people are really feeling it and feeling what we were trying to say.
Yeah, and I think a better word than happy is just kind of positivity. I feel positivity radiating from it, and I think and I hear your guys' influences coming through too, because it's, you know, it's pop, but you hear that gospel and that church influence in there, even if the subject matter isn't necessarily you know, church related. In all of it, it's very you know, you hear that, you know, you can hear the church choir kind of singing it sometimes, and so you can hear that influence. How much do you think that being raised that way has affected your musical style?
I think it affected it so much. Not just the gospel. I think in terms of, we were raised on classical, jazz, and gospel. I think those were the main 3 things we listened to, especially under the ages of 13. Before our teenage years, those were pretty much the only things we listened to.
Because that's what our parents listened to.
Yeah. And I think that really shaped our musical palette and our musical understanding. Because even if we venture into a hip hop beat or whatever, we still we still approach it from the angle of somebody who understands gospel and jazz and classical. So we're able to put our own spin on things. So I think it's very much influenced it.
And what's rad is you guys play, you're playing instruments on this also. You guys aren't just vocalists. Working with Jay-Z and Roc Nation, were you guys able to work with some cool producers? Did you guys meet some people and collaborate with some people that affected the way this turned out?
Yes, we collaborated with ourselves.
There you go. Well, there's definitely a lot of collaboration going on.
Yeah, we this one is a self-produced project.
Mostly we
did do one song with a producer named Jerry Wanda.
The legend.
He did he's famous for doing songs with the Fugees and White Pop Jean, and I think he produced Shakira's Hips Don't Lie. So he has a large discography under his belt as a producer. And we worked with him for one song, and that was pretty much the only song. No, it was the only song that wasn't self-produced. The
song was Just Loving Me.
Yeah, the song was Just Loving Me. I don't know if you heard it. It's the third song of the record.
Yeah. So I mean, so you guys are producers as well. I mean, it's crazy. And you guys were growing up. You guys were homeschooled as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like you guys were bred for this. It was like, you're doing production at home, you're singing at the dinner table, you're being put in churches and singing, and you're singing in the park. I mean, you guys are literally like, if it was a Rocky movie, you guys have been like training for this like your entire lives. It's crazy. It comes through in the music though. It sounds very organic and natural. There's an effortlessness to the style, which is cool. Well,
now what is your favorite?
What's that?
What's your favorite song that you listened to so far?
I think it was the very first, your kind of your debut, Everything's Gonna Be All Right, but Mad Love was really cool too. So both of them, those were the ones I was vibing to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I like I said, both of those were the ones where I kind of felt the positivity. So I was like, yeah, I added both of them to my playlist. So I'll be listening to it this week.
Awesome.
So, so what's the plan? I know 2020 has a lot of, artists kind of putting some of their plans on pause. What's the plan, for now?
We really haven't stopped working. When COVID happened, there was a lot of recalibration, and we were forced to kind of look internally and say, okay, what are we going to do? And actually, we started doing these really cool cover videos on Instagram, and we didn't know where they would go, but they just started going crazy viral out of nowhere. And we didn't know that. We knew that our song resonated with people, and we knew that we could touch people and say something to our audience, but we weren't expecting such an outpouring of love, especially during a time that it was really a crisis situation. Everybody was quarantining, everybody was at home. We had massive social, racial unrest in this country, and a lot of that pain we were also feeling. So to be able to find solace in music as we gave it to people, it was amazing. Definitely 2021, we're looking at world domination if possible.
Yes. So what were there some factors that you can attribute to some of that viralness that you guys were experiencing besides, the talent? Because, there's endless talent in the world. But some things just attribute to things going viral. Were there certain factors that affected that?
There are obviously
certain factors such as everyone is at home during that time, stuck watching their phones, watching their TVs for information and things like that. So that definitely affected it. But ultimately, I think the main factor was we make videos really to serve a purpose, which was to bring positivity and hope and just a little ray of light on people's timelines as they were scrolling. Just during those first dark days of COVID. And that's literally what kind of clicked and triggered that response. So it was really just to serve that purpose.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I've had some conversations where, you know, music industry, any industry right now, you know, it's it could be seen as a drought right now, but also there's just like any you know, anytime you can buy low, you can there's opportunities to break out, you know, to use a stock market analogy. You know, sometimes in times that are tough, you can find niches to actually break out. Well, I
prediction though,
okay.
for
Okay.
the musicians who are waiting for COVID to be over. I think that the 2020, I think this time after COVID and after a lot of this craziness, I think it's going to look like the roaring 20s in terms of how much people are going to be itching to get back to your live shows and your concerts and parties and all of that stuff. It's going to be an amazing time for artists. So everybody, hopefully we can all just hold on and rest in the knowledge that it will get better.
That's a great analogy. I think people are starved for live music right now, and I think people are going to rush the stages when it opens back up. So thanks so much, guys. It's incredible story. Loving the new album. So we'll be listening to it. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out Infinity Song's new album for some of that positivity and that ray of light. But we like to end the interview by asking, and you know, there's, you know, you guys are all individuals and have all experienced this in different ways. So feel free to answer individually if you'd like, or as a group. But we like to ask, you know, if you had one piece of advice to give aspiring artists, what would it be?
You want to go?
I'll say something. I would definitely say, I know this sounds so cliche, but one thing that I'm finding to be so true is that your biggest superpower really is that there's nobody like you. So a lot of times you'll see a unique artist and they have a unique voice or a unique talent, and then they try their best to become like Rihanna or Beyonce. They just want to be this picture that they see so badly, and they go through the machine and they do everything that somebody else tells them that they need to do to become that picture. And in that process, they shave away everything that, you know, originally made them that gem. And, you know, Rihanna is just being herself. You know, she is so like awesome because she is just so boldly herself. Same with Beyonce, you know? So if you're just doing everything that you can to become like them, then you lose any chance that you ever had of even getting to that level, you know? So I think that, you know, my advice would be to just, you know, obviously always try to elevate and get to the next level and unlock new facets of yourself and get better, but, you know, don't try to be like anybody else. Right. Great advice. Yeah, I think sometimes people forget that what's rad about someone like Rihanna, to use her as a example, is what people like about Rihanna is her authenticity. So if you try to copy Rihanna, you are essentially taking away one of the main things that makes her good. You know, her authenticity. So it's you want to capture the essence of what the artist is the essence of what you like about them, not the actual style, or, you know, you don't want to copy it literally, but you want to find that essence. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like what Mama said, because that really is the essence, like trying to find the highest versions of our artistic selves. Like if we pursue excellence, if we pursue just like, there's no competition but you. We're constantly fighting laziness and procrastination and being uninspired, and depression and anxiety and self-doubt. Like, we have to shed all that stuff and really get to the important stuff, which is giving people a gift that comes from our understanding and our just our understanding of who we are and life. So I definitely like what Mama said about
right. Yeah, I love how you say, you know, you as a family were using music as almost as a means of self-development. It had, you know, it was, you know, it was achieving a higher self, you know, whatever that may be, whether it's music, other people may do it in a different way. But your avenue to a higher self, to understanding yourself better, to mastering a discipline was music.
Yeah.
I agree with y'all.
Oh.
All right, guys. Well, can you tell I'm looking at you? It's like I'm staring at a computer screen.
I would say, kind of building off of what Momo said about trying to be other people, create before consuming. Just get off of your phones, stop watching YouTube, stop watching Instagram and what everybody else is doing, especially in your peer circle, especially in like what people are. Just turn it off and just start focusing on putting time into creating and less time consuming things. As artists, you have to know yourself, and the only way to do that is to spend time with yourself, spend time alone, in a quiet room, and just really just getting to know and become self-aware of what your voice is, what your style is, what your thoughts are, what your thought processes are, what you believe, what you don't agree with, and things like that. So
I love that. I'd be more of a producer than a consumer, more of a creator than a consumer, because there's definitely no shortage of anything to consume. We're living in endless content right now, so you can get lost in it so easily. So that's so true. Bringing it back